The first 3 weeks of a chick's life are the most challenging for poultry farmers. Families that choose to raise day-old chicks need to ensure specific conditions for their health and survival. In this video, we'll visit the city of Fayoum, where a group of women are collaborating in raising chicks by paying close attention to the chicks' housing, feed, and vaccination programs. The women raise chicks in brooders where they can easily manage them. Only raise chicks that are exactly the same age together in a brooder. As at this time in their life, each day for a chick's survival has specific needs. The women work with Ahmed, a local shopkeeper and service provider for small-scale poultry keepers. He helps coordinate the women in buying their chicks together. This way they can make savings and buy inputs that they wouldn't easily have access to on their own.
كان بتبصي تربيهم وفجأة تلاقيهم في موت مفاجئ وانت مش عارفة السبب لا تلقى مرض ولا تلقى حاجة.
You're raising chickens, and all of a sudden your chicks start to die. And so suddenly you never know the cause or the type of disease. After Ahmed opened his shop here, we could work with him daily. We would come to the shop if anything worried us about our chickens, or even call him for advice and prescriptions for medications. Most poultry vaccinations and feeds are packaged for large-scale enterprises. In contrast, Ahmad's shop has everything pre-packaged for small-scale farmers.
When I work with a new customer, I take the time to listen to them and help them articulate their problems. This is the first step in gaining someone's trust. Then you can give better advice, because people will listen. For example, if I need to prescribe medication for sick chicks, I start by discussing their brooder. I explain how sickness can be linked to bedding. I tell them how to improve it. They should use a light to heat their chicks. That medication is best given in drinkers, so it doesn't get contaminated. When they see results, they gain even more trust.
When raising chickens, some will die in their first weeks. Losing 1 out of 10 chicks is normal. This is because they were weak and dehydrated from transportation. What's important is to understand the cause of death, as the chick's health is linked to many factors including housing, feed quality, and general hygiene. To avoid contamination and dirt, frequently wash the food and water containers. Remove any wet bedding that accumulates under the drinkers, to avoid conditions for bacteria and parasites to develop. Always check the bedding for any bad smell of ammonia. Add a fresh layer of bedding when needed. If too much manure accumulates and is left wet, it can develop bacteria that can kill the chicks. I was raising 300 chicks and they were fine with good weight, and I was about to sell them. Then they suddenly got coccidia and I didn't know how to cure it. I didn't know how to identify it. I lost 1/3 of my chickens. I went to look for medication and tried to understand the cause of the problem and visited many shops, but it was too late. Ahmed then explained to me, so now I know when my chicks have coccidia, and thank God this doesn't happen anymore. Now I know how to prevent it. I now raise my chicks from 1 day old until they reach market weight at 55 or 60 days. Chicks are more vulnerable than adults to coccidia, which is caused by parasites found in their droppings. If the hygiene of the brooder is poor, the chicks will become infected from dirty drinkers and feeders. Monitoring your chicks' behavior is an important indicator of their health, as explained to us by Samia. There needs to be good ventilation for the chicks' health and to reduce the bacteria in the brooder. The temperature is important, but you don't always need a thermometer. This is something you feel and know when raising chicks. You can know if the temperature is right because the chicks are eating and running in their brooders. When they're cold, you'll find them huddled together and you need to provide more heating.
عايز دفء.
Chicks are only active when the temperature is just right. Lower your electric light bulb to increase the temperature. Pay extra attention to this if you're raising your chicks in the winter. During the first week, it's preferable to keep the light on 24 hours a day, not only for the warmth, but for them to eat and drink more regularly. Remember that chicks need to have light. They cannot see their food in the dark. The women feed their chicks high-protein diets until they're old enough to eat fresh greens and food from the household, but do not introduce this until they are older than 3 weeks.
العلف اولا نظافه وفي نفس الوقت انت بتدي للكتكوت زي معاكي طفل صغير بتاسسيه.
The good thing about buying feed is that it's cleaner, and at the same time, just as with your own children, you provide the healthy foundations for growth. Only after the chick is old enough can you start giving them leftover food. Some women may give their chicks leftover food that isn't fresh, as they feel it's better than wasting it and throwing it away. If you do this, you'll end up throwing your own chicks away. Good feed gives you a good chicken weight as they grow. Like your children, you must care about what they eat and that they don't lack calcium and protein.
تهتمي بيه باكله فتلاقيه بيطلع معاكي لا ناقص مثلا كالسيوم ولا ناقص بروتين ولا كده.
Imad's shop sells a variety of feeds, including a 23% protein feed that's recommended for chicks.
أول حاجة عشان تغيري فكر الناس وكانت صعبة قوي.
The first thing I did when convincing people to change their ways in raising chicks was to explain the different kind of feed mixes, from 23 down to 14% protein. Most farmers see all feed as the same and don't understand the needs for chicken at different ages. They're used to feeding them rice with husks that they get from their farms. Therefore, to convince them to buy feed, I asked them to separate 10 chickens from their flocks and feed them a commercial feed, so we could compare the difference in production. Now that the farmers have tried it themselves and can see that their profits increase, they're convinced to change their practice.
Many producers have lost their chickens without knowing the main cause, so prevention with vaccines is important, as many diseases can kill up to half your flock. Most vaccinations are produced for a minimum of 1,000 chicks. The only way around this is to collaborate with other small-scale farmers to share veterinary costs. Imad's shop offers the women a weekly program for their chick vaccinations. Because most vaccines require storage at low temperature, Imad encourages the women to make ice from clean water in order to transport the vaccines to their homes. Imad gives each woman the amount of vaccine she needs for the number of chicks she has. The women have learned to administer the vaccine themselves using a dropper. Let's listen again to Imad, who has successfully mobilized a group of women to raise poultry by collaborating with each other.
In
order to help other people with raising their chicks, it has to be someone that's raised chickens themselves. I have good experience in this, and I understand medication, vaccination, and which diseases are present in our area. I've been successful in getting this knowledge to people by first choosing a select group of women who are motivated to try new things and who love to raise chickens and want to see their success spread to other people. This is our initial group, our small poultry school. Together we choose a breed we want to raise, how to prepare the proper housing, like a heating system for the winter and good ventilation for the summer. I create a small program for them with timely medications and even alternatives like fenugreek to help build their chickens' immunity. If I achieve all these steps with the women and few of their chickens die, then I have succeeded, and surely other people will ask them for advice. As long as people keep asking, then I'm sure that more and more people will implement these recommendations.
Remember, the more you raise chicks, the more you increase your skill. Try to keep records and share them with your neighbors. Now let's review what we've learned in this video on raising healthy chicks. Regularly monitor the chicks' behavior to know if they're too hot or too cold. Maintain cleanliness of the brooder and replace the bedding when needed. Ensure there's clean water at all times. Feed the chicks a high-protein feed until they are 3 weeks old. Collaborate with your neighbors on vaccination programs. And help spread the word in your community. To advise women on raising chicks, I would teach them about the different diseases that chicks can get and how to identify and treat them. They should know about vaccinations and collaborate to buy them, follow a program, and administer them even without the help of a shopkeeper. If a woman is raising a big number of chickens herself, say 500 chickens, then she can afford the needed vaccines. But if you're raising a small number of 200, working alone would be too costly. That's why we work together. When raising chicks, you must be a very observant and dedicated parent. Following a strict program and working together with your neighbors to fight deadly diseases will lead to healthy chickens for you to sell.